Welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine. And it looks like last night in Russia's Tula region, we had a fiery and explosive night, as reports coming out today of Ukrainian drones destroying Russia's Aleksensky chemical plant. This is video footage coming out from there during the day as this facility continued burning all the way through the night into the morning. And this chemical plant is used in the creation of gunpowder and also large caliber ammunition for Russia's military. And apparently 13 drones flew over this chemical plant at night. And I believe it took direct hits multiple times, probably 2 or 3 times, maybe more. As we can see from this video footage, multiple plumes of smoke. We can see white smoke on the left side of the facility. Also in the center of your screen, you can kind of see orange smoke indicating a chemical that is burning. Okay, so definitely major hits to Russia's manufacturing for ammunition and gunpowder. We also have reports today that apparently on November 3rd, we had a major drone attack on a training ground for the Russian military in the Rostov region. So we're going to be talking about that today as well. Massive devastation over there, destroying this training grounds in the Rostov region. Okay, also last night, Russian Shahed drones targeting the city of Odesa. We have major explosions, cars being destroyed, and homes being hit inside the city of Odesa last night. I have video footage coming out from there. Then various other things that I want to update you on with this war coming out over the last 24 hours. So we're going to go ahead and start diving into the news. We're going to hop on over here to X now, and I've got a lot of information to share with you here today. From Anton Gerashenko, Russian media report that a chemical plant in the city of Alexin in the Tula region was attacked. In 2013, the plant resumed production of composite pressing material AG4S and mastered the production of pressing material TZS-1F, which allowed it to meet the needs of the rocket and space industry and conventional weapons industry. The plant also reportedly produces components used in the creation of powders for large caliber ammunition. Okay, so I've got this video footage here for you guys. It's about 55 seconds long, so it is dark. You're not going to be able to see a whole lot, but you will see some explosions and what it sounds like multiple drones and multiple explosions kind of back to back. So pay attention. It's a longer video, but it's actually a good video. Take a look. All right, so we can definitely hear multiple explosions in this video and several direct impacts. What we did have reports of as well was some electrical power lines were struck near this facility, taking down the power in that area as well. So that's probably why we're hearing multiple explosions. But definitely looks like this facility potentially took several hits, okay? So also we've got this other video here to show you guys from Bliskovka. Russia's Aleksensky chemical plant explodes and smokes. It has suspended operations and evacuated its staff. Ukrainian media report at least 13 drones flew over the chemical plant at night. Orange smoke is now rising over the gunpowder production shop due to the release of acids. Ukrainian drones also struck the Aleksensky thermal power plant. Okay, so a thermal power plant being struck along with this gunpowder production chemical plant as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this. No sound really in this video. There's just a little like birds chirping, so we'll just go ahead and leave it muted. But we can definitely see here 2 plumes of smoke. There's an orange smoke and also a white smoke over here. So definitely indicating that some chemicals are burning at this facility over here. So definitely major hits to Russia's ammo production facilities here in the Tula region, okay? So definitely lots of attacks happening up in Tula. I think, what do we report just in the last couple months? Multiple major ammunition storage facilities up here as well in the Tula region being attacked, major arsenal storages. So definitely more hits up in the Tula region. Okay, so now we're going to move on to this report of the Rostov region coming under attack on November 3rd from next to unidentified drone strikes Russian troop training area in Rostov region. The attack occurred overnight on November 3rd in a tent city housing Russian conscripts. Casualties are still being assessed. Okay, so we got pictures here, what shows this training facility completely destroyed from Ukrainian drone attacks. It looks like this happened on November 3rd, okay, but it's barely being reported today. Here's a overlook of this facility from up high with satellite imagery showing lots of these buildings here that have been destroyed, these tents for these soldiers here. And I've got video footage for you guys as well, okay? It's going to be a longer video, about 2 minutes long, but we're going to have a Russian soldier walking around here showing all the devastation on this site. So from War Translator Dmitry, Russian soldier films the aftermath of a powerful strike on a Russian military camp in the Rostov region on November 3rd. The 33rd Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade, 33 OMSBR, was reportedly stationed at the camp. According to the person filming, there were no personnel present on the time of the attack. However, the strike was highly destructive, evident from the extensive damage to tents and other structures. The attack is said to have been carried out by UAV. Okay, so a 2-minute clip. Go ahead and take a look at this. It is a little bit longer, but you're going to see lots and lots of devastation at this facility. So take a look.
Вот он, ночной перелет, нахуй. Нихуя въебаловась, пизда тут просто. Вон дырки, нахуй. Шары какие-то, я хуй знает. Хуя это железо так пробивает. Человека тут, ебать, как пиздалось. Заебись, людей не было просто. Охуеть. Волна въебала такая, готова до нашего лагеря достала, прикинь, смотри. Людей недавно увезли вот с этих палаток. Смотри, что творится. Нихуя у нас веселуха сегодня была, пизда. Гасились нахуй по блиндажам, по хуежам. Смотри, вот палатки живут. Просто пиздец. Хуй знаешь. Нихуя тут просто. Чё тут ебало, хуй знает. Пиздец. Блядь, нахуй до сих пор горит, да? Блядь, что за говно? Ну, честно, вот такая хуйня. Остальные палатки тоже пострадали. Да, благо увезли людей, потому что сольщики хули живут. Пизда. Вот этим двум палаткам точно сразу минусы были бы нахуй. Ну, вот видишь, эти палатки тоже поразъебал. Как он поразмесил тоже. Ну, поразлеталось все нахуй. Да, вот, видишь, эти внутря тоже позацепило нахуй. Ебанулся нахуй. Хуй его знает, что будет. Ну, эти более-менее вроде. Конечно, такая вот хуйня тут происходит у нас. Вроде в России все спокойно. Хуй там плавал.
All right, pretty insane, right? We'll go ahead and let that roll again just for a moment. But we can definitely see damage here to at least, I would say, 6 or 8, maybe more of these tents that have been destroyed. So it looks like a major drone attack on this facility here. And also he's showing some penetration to this shed here. Maybe some of the explosives were packed with some little BBs or something. So maybe when they destroy it, it creates more damage in the area and inflict more heavy wounds to anybody that might be nearby. So definitely major damage done to this facility. If you notice here towards the end when he's speaking, he says that, they state that it's all calm in Russia, but it's actually not. This shows, even in the Rostov region, nowhere close to the front line, coming under attack pretty frequently then. If they're saying that it's calm over there in Russia and he's saying that it's not, looks like on the ground, that's what the soldiers are stating, that it's definitely not calm in these areas, okay? So pretty crazy to be seeing that We're going to move on to another update now from War Translated Dmitry again. A Ukrainian serviceman reports on Telegram about a buildup of Russian forces in the Zaporizhzhia region for a possible offensive. The Zaporizhzhia region and the city of Zaporizhzhia are important for Russia, which has claimed the area is as its territory, However, it remains unclear whether they have enough strength to launch a significant strike. Now, we have been hearing a lot in the Zaporizhzhia region that the Russian forces are starting to build up their troops. We've heard as high as potentially 200,000 Russian troops have been massing in this area, many of them coming from Crimea as well. And this report here says the situation in the Zaporizhzhia region remains tense. The enemy is bringing newly contracted soldiers and equipment to Melitopol, and there are daily training exercises at their ranges based on the noise. Enemy activity by small assault groups is increasing daily at the front line. Additionally, they continue to spread disinformation about an alleged offensive on our part. Okay, so from what I understand, Ukraine is not planning any kind of offensive down in the Zaporizhzhia region. We have been hearing that they have been beefing up their defenses, though, building trenches, setting up dragon's teeth, and preparing for a major offensive. Apparently, from the Russians, we've been hearing about this for probably about 2, maybe 3 weeks now. And we're continuing to see this information coming out. So it looks like we could be potentially having a major assault by the Russians very soon. Here's that original report that looks like it came out on Telegram. If you want to screenshot that, it's obviously in Russian. So we'll go ahead and move on to another update now. Anton Gerashenko, Odesa was under a massive Russian drone attack last night. A residential complex was hit. 1 person died, 13 more injured. 2 of the injured are children. Apartments and vehicles were on fire, according to local administration. So many families are left devastated every night by Russia. So it looks like we had another major drone attack inside the city of Odesa in southwestern Ukraine. And looks like we had some major damage here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. 8 seconds long. Okay, so according to this video, it looks like we potentially had 1, maybe 2 drone strikes in this area. This building is starting to catch on fire. We have some cars potentially that were destroyed over here, as looks like some drones landed in the streets very close to some apartment building here, okay? So very crazy to see these continued attacks inside Ukraine. This was just coming out last night inside of Ukraine, so very sad, guys. Moving on to another update from Nexta. Wall Street Journal reports U.S. to send Ukraine over 500 interceptor missiles for Patriot and NASAMS systems. The deliveries are set for the coming weeks and aim to support Ukraine's air defense needs through the end of 2024. So 500 interceptor missiles going over to Ukraine for Patriot missiles and NASAMS. So that's good news for Ukraine. Looks like they're going to be getting more support when it comes to defending their skies, okay? So that just came out today. Also from Nexta, breaking, Putin signs law ratifying Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty with the DPRK, which is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The treaty's key provision is mutual military assistance. If one country is attacked, the other pledges support. Okay, so it looks like Russia is preparing for potentially, maybe if they come under attack at some point, maybe North Korea could head on over and start sending more troops over to Russia. I mean, we've already been hearing that upwards of 20,000 or more could be deployed to Russia here very soon. Then also at the same time, even if North Korea comes under attack for some reason, Russia would do the same thing and go ahead and back them. So we've been hearing about this over the last week or so, that Russia was planning to ratify this Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty. Looks like that is complete now, and they are pledging support for each other's nation if they come under attack. And technically, Russia is under attack right now in the Kursk region, so we may be seeing more North Korean troops being deployed, at least to the Kursk region in Russia for right now. So we'll see what happens, okay? Also from Anton Gerashenko, this is what a Russian Shahed drone with a thermobaric warhead looks like. Russia started launching such drones en masse at Ukraine. So many of these thermobaric warheads attached to these drones have been used inside of Kiev recently. We've seen major damage in Kiev, and a lot of times it's from these thermobaric ammunition warheads that are attached to these Shahed drones. We're going to talk some more about this in case you're not familiar with these. I also pulled up an article that kind of talks about it. So it says here, Russians use thermobaric ammunition specifically against civilians, It spreads burning liquid in corners and corridors of buildings where civilians typically take shelter, burning out the oxygen. The blast wave spreads over the entire area and affects the lungs, ears, etc. of people nearby. It also noted that Shaheed with a thermobaric warhead demonstrates maximum effectiveness in closed spaces, as a cloud of napalm-like fuel can cover several rooms. How a video of how a Shaheed drone attack feels from the inside of a Ukrainian apartment. Sorry about that, guys. So we got what appears one video here, a picture of this warhead, and then I've got another video to show you guys of one of these things exploding to show how devastating they are whenever they blow up. So let's go ahead and jump into this first video here.
Нема, початися влетіло.
А, під ним воно.
А, є. Ось бочушечка лежить, ось є вона.
All right, so there's no more sound in this video, but we can see more pictures popping up here showing this thermobaric warhead attached to this this drone. So there's another picture here coming up as well. This is a picture also of that thermobaric warhead with the labeling stamp on this. And then we've got another video coming up to show you guys the explosive power of one of these thermobaric warheads. So I want you guys to see this video coming up here next. Take a look.
Ох, ёбаный, я заснял нахуй. Еба, я заснял нахуй. Ебать я.
All right, so that is a video of a Shaheed drone fired from the Russians with a thermobaric warhead, okay? They are very devastating, and when they strike buildings, a lot of times this explosive material can get inside of rooms if a window is open or a door is not completely sealed, and it can cut off oxygen and burn people really badly, and in many cases causes significant damage, okay? So we can definitely see from that video. So I pulled this up for you guys also on the BBC. It says, how does a thermobaric bomb work? A thermobaric bomb, also called a vacuum or aerosol bomb or fuel air explosive, consists of a fuel container with two separate explosive charges. This can be launched as a rocket or dropped as a bomb from aircraft. When it hits its target, the first explosive charge opens the container and widely scatters fuel mixture as a cloud. This cloud can penetrate any building openings or defenses that are not totally sealed. A second charge then detonates the cloud, resulting in a huge fireball, a massive blast wave, and a vacuum which sucks up all surrounding oxygen. The weapon can destroy reinforced buildings, equipment, and kill or injure people. So you can definitely see from this information how devastating these things are. Here's like a little diagram to show you as well how thermobaric weapons work. It says right here, number 1, precision-guided bomb strikes the target. So the bomb will strike, in this case, a drone is what they were using these with. And then number 2, small explosion releases a cloud of explosive material. So the first charge explodes, releases this cloud of explosive material, and then a second explosion goes off for number 3, ignites the cloud, causing a massive blast that is capable of vaporizing human bodies. So we can see from this diagram here, definitely whenever this thing explodes, if there are windows that are open or doors not completely sealed, this material can get inside, and then when it detonates, obviously causing major damage to anybody that could be inside the building. And this is why Russia is using these to cause massive damage against any civilians inside of buildings, even in Kiev or wherever it might be inside Ukraine. Okay, so definitely a very devastating drone warhead that's being used here. Okay, so moving on to another update from next sources. Russia won't hold peace talks until it regains control of Kursk region. The Kremlin aims to secure the entire Kursk region by Trump's inauguration to negotiate from a position of strength. Okay, so looks like Russia's not going to negotiate at all until they completely push the Ukrainians out of the Kursk region. So let's see what happens moving down the road. I know we're still waiting for Donald Trump to get into office. Once he gets into office, is he going to be able to end this war? Will he be able to influence Vladimir Putin and Ukraine to negotiate? And even if he can, will they be willing to negotiate? Because it really comes down to them at the end of the day. Or the United States will have to do something to try to put pressure on one or either side to kind of force them to negotiate. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But it looks like Russia is not willing to negotiate until Ukraine leaves the Kursk region. Okay, also from Anton Gerashenko, Russia uses new Grom E-1 powered glide bomb that flies up to 120 kilometers, guys. That's extremely far for a glide bomb. According to the Telegraph, the 600 kilogram rocket boosted bomb provides the Su-30 and Su-34 fighter bombers with the ability to strike while remaining out of range of Ukrainian air defenses such as the Patriot. The newspaper attributes the increasing use of these bombs to the recent delivery of F-16s to Ukraine. The targets so far are civilians. Grom E-1s struck a school and an apartment building in Murderad and Kherson. And in October 29th, a bombing raid involving KABs and at least one Grom E-1 blew up a medical facility and other buildings in Kharkiv. These bombs are flying in the Ukrainian skies in Europe, and Russia is trying to increase their range. Protecting Ukraine and guaranteeing Ukraine's security means security for all European countries. So here's some pictures of this Grom E-1 glide bomb, okay, and 120 kilometers, guys. That is very far that these things can fly. So it definitely will be able to protect the Russian warplanes that deploy these things from very far away from the front line, so that way Ukrainian air defenses cannot take down these warplanes, okay? So once again, another devastating weapon that Russia is using that is almost invincible at this point, okay? If Ukraine can't shoot these down, because they're gliding, and then also at the same time they can't shoot down the warplanes because they're launching them from so far away. This is only going to continue to get worse as Russia develops their technology with these, and maybe they can eventually launch these from 200, maybe 300 kilometers away. So pretty crazy, guys. Moving on to another update. Max 24, this year, Ukraine produced the first 100 units of missile weapons and will increase this direction, according to Volodymyr Zelensky. So the president of Ukraine stating that they have their first units of missile weapons, so probably their ballistic missiles. Could this include maybe their Palinitsia drone, rocket drones? I'm not sure if they're talking about that as well, but definitely in terms of missiles, maybe their cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, looks like they have produced at least 100, and that's expecting to increase leading into the future. So probably next year is when we will probably be hearing of major strikes inside of Russia using Ukrainian-made missiles. Would not be surprised if that comes by like middle of next year if this war continues on. Okay, also from Clash Report, Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Director at GUR revealed that a downed Russian S-70 Hunter B drone contained over 30 Western-made components, including microelectronics from U.S. companies like Analog Devices, Texas Instruments, and Xilinx, I think I'm saying that right, as well as Infineon from Germany and ST Microelectronics from Switzerland. Despite sanctions, Russia continues to access Western components through international transshipment, third country diversions, and unregulated markets, particularly in China. The Semiconductor Industry Association highlighted that the global production of 3 trillion chips from 2021 to 2023 makes full control nearly impossible, as some parts may be stockpiled before sanctions. The source was TWZ. So here's some of these, looks like computer chips that have been found on some of the weapons that Russia's using. Looks like some drones, and looks like over 30 Western-made components have been found already. So looks like these sanctions are not completely cutting off Russia from getting the supplies that they need to produce their weaponry. And we have been hearing from Donald Trump that he may even lift sanctions as soon as next year when he gets into office. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. Okay, also from Euromaidan Press, Frontline report, Ukrainian combined arms operation retakes northern Druzhba. Ukraine delivered TM-62 anti-tank mines onto Russian-occupied buildings in Druzhba, demolishing fortified positions before ground forces moved in. So this is actually a report, like an article if we click on this, so I can't make it larger for you guys. It might be kind of small for you. But Druzhba is actually northeast of Toretsk, okay? We've been talking a lot about Toretsk. Last we heard, the Russians were starting to move in about halfway into that city, and then the Ukrainians launched a major offensive, started to push Russia back out of the city, at least to the outskirts. We still kind of see that here on this map. And then Druzhba is a city that's nearby, just a little bit northeast. Looks like the Ukrainians are starting to move into that area, and looks like they launched an offensive. So this is an update on the Eastern Front in the Donetsk region of Ukraine. Okay, also from next, Zelensky urges Europe to transfer idle air defense systems to Ukraine. There are enough air defense systems in Europe to offer Ukraine real protection, Zelensky emphasized. It's incomprehensible that these systems are just standing idle when each one could save hundreds or even thousands of lives. So let me know what you think down below. Should Europe start sending over more of their idle air defense systems that are kind of just sitting around, obviously not being used because many of these countries are not in war? Ukraine is the only country at war right now, so Ukraine could definitely be using a lot of these air defense systems that are just sitting around. But clearly, we have seen from many European nations, even the US, they seem to be very complacent about sending lots of equipment over to Ukraine. So moving on to another update, the Ukrainian Review, Trump will try to conclude an agreement with Putin to end the war, which is not in the interests of Ukraine and Europe, says the Czech President Petr Pavel. The start of military support was slow, and this allowed Russia to advance in Ukraine, despite all the problems with command and support that it had then. Many countries hope that Trump, as he promised, will quickly end Russia's war against Ukraine. The situation at the front has reached an impasse, but now it is developing more in favor of Russia than Ukraine. It is difficult to encourage the parties to negotiate. So definitely, I would say it is right now kind of difficult to encourage Ukraine and Russia to negotiate. Looks like both sides are not really willing to negotiate at all. Obviously, if Ukraine wants these territories on the eastern side of their nation back, they're not going to be willing to really negotiate at all. But yeah, so this information here stating from Petr Pavel, the Czech president, that Trump may try to conclude an agreement for this war to end it, and it may not be in the interests of Ukraine and Europe. So let's see what happens once Trump gets into office. We continue to see a lot of reports coming out on this. We've even heard some other analysts that are coming out talking about what some of Trump's plans. And it definitely does not look completely in show of support for Ukraine, and maybe even benefits Russia in some ways. So we'll see what happens coming in January or February of next year. Also from Max24, a senior advisor to Donald Trump says the incoming administration will focus on achieving peace in the war in Ukraine rather than enabling the country to gain back territory, according to the BBC. Brian Lanza, and if President Zelensky comes to the table and says, well, we can only have peace if we have Crimea, he shows to us that he's not serious. He said Crimea is gone. All right, so according to this information and this report, it looks like this incoming administration for Donald Trump is going to focus on pushing for peace and not so much focusing on allowing Ukraine to take back territory. I mean, can Ukraine take back territory at this point? If anything, what we're seeing on the Eastern Front, they are definitely struggling to hold the Russians back. They are holding them back for the most part, but we have been hearing of repeated gains from the Russians. So looks like in order to end this war, this may be the path that Ukraine has to go down, even if it's not favorable to Ukraine, and maybe people might be upset by this, but it looks like that's the way this thing is going, okay? Finally, one last thing to share with you from Max24. British troops may be sent to Ukraine to create a 1,200-kilometer security buffer zone as part of Donald Trump's plan to end the war, according to the Telegraph. According to Trump's plan, a demilitarized zone is to be created along the front line, and Ukraine is obliged to refrain from joining NATO for 20 years. In exchange, the United States will continue to supply weapons to Ukraine to prevent another Russian invasion. So I did report this information to you guys the other day. This information right here, but this is something new. British troops may be sent to Ukraine, okay, to create this buffer zone. So we did hear from Donald Trump's team that potentially we could be having European troops heading over to support Ukraine, and this would not be U.S. troops that would be stationed on the ground to provide like a peacekeeping force. So it looks like we could be potentially having British troops heading over there instead to Ukraine. So very big news coming out in regards to that, and we'll definitely have to see what happens coming next year. It's going to get very interesting what happens over here with this war with Ukraine and Russia. Is the war going to continue on, or will it come to hopefully a peaceful end? And if it does, we'll see if it ends up benefiting Ukraine, maybe even Russia. But it's looking highly likely in some ways it could be benefiting Russia more than it benefits Ukraine right now. But for the sake of peace, that may be the route that they have to go, or the way that things get forced to go, okay? So that's going to be it for today's update, though. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.